This meeting of the Richland County Board of Supervisors for the month of August to order, and ask the clerk to take the roll, please.
Carroll.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Schoonover.
Here.
Kramer.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Engel.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Manning.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
Washburn. Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove. Frank.
Here.
Severson.
Present.
Williamson.
Here.
Cooley.
Here.
Fleming. And McGuire. You have a quorum.
Do we have anyone present tonight for the invocation? If not, I'd ask you to please rise and just join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. And at this time, I'll ask the clerk to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the meeting is properly noticed.
Very good. Item number 6 is to approve our agenda. We have before us a 25-point agenda. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Manning, second by Mr. McKee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we have an agenda. We should also have the meeting minutes, I should say, of the July 15th meeting circulated. Anybody have any questions, comments, corrections on the July 15th County Board minutes? Hearing none, the chair declares those minutes to be approved as presented. Item number 8, public comment. I received no public comment forms. Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, this is my last board meeting, and how much I've enjoyed working with you all, and feel like we've made a couple steps forward, and I'm hoping that you continue that, and I thank you for the opportunity to contribute, so thanks so much.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate having you here. So, any other members of the public that wish to comment before the board tonight? Anybody online? Yes.
I'd like to tell everybody that I had an ordeal the last 2 months, but the Richland Hospital, the Yuma ambulance, and the air flight to Madison was my saving grace. And I really realize how important Richland Hospital should be to all of us, because the other options are way too far away. So I want to just let you know that we've really been through it. So
Glad you're back with us.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 9, which is appointment of a county board supervisor for district number 11. Clerk Kalish.
So for that district, vacant district, we advertised for this actually 2 different times. We didn't receive any applicants the first time, so when we received the second time, we did receive a letter of interest that's in your packet. It's number 9, from Mr. Rod Perry. So in your packet, he has his letter of interest there, so hopefully you all get a chance to review that. But that was the only letter of interest we received for the current vacant District 11.
And Mr. Perry is here with us tonight. Rod, did you want to stand up and just introduce yourself, say a few words?
Most people know me. I've been around this room long enough. But I just felt our district should be represented. So nobody else wanted it. I'll give it a shot.
Well, thank you for your interest and your willingness. My first job, I worked for Rod. Mr. Severson.
I move for approval of Mr. Perry for the supervisor for District 11 for
Filling out the rest of the term.
supervisors. Also,
Okay. Motion by Severson, second by Cooley to approve appointing Rod Perry to fill out the term for Supervisory District 11. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. We are going to take a short recess so the oath of office can be administered to Mr. Perry, and then he will be seated and join us. So a 5-minute recess. And welcome Supervisor Perry. All right. right, we will move on to item number 10, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. Nothing tonight?
Nothing to.
All right. Then that brings us to item 11, ordinance relating to parcel 010-1242-4000.
This will be ordinance number 25-20, amendment number 628 to the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 119. The following described 6.31 acre parcel in the town of Eagle is hereby rezoned from ag forestry to the commercial district. You have the description there before you. This ordinance shall be effective upon passing publication. It's being offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on August 4th of 2025.
You've heard the resolution. Do I have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Kramer, second by Supervisor Schoonover. That's an ordinance, pardon me, not a resolution. Discussion. Anybody from Natural Resources?
I think the owners are going to be adding a couple of cabins, but the main reason it's changing to commercials, they're going to create an event space, so that commercials are.
Any questions? Not all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ordinance is adopted. Item 12, report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board meeting. Do we have any?
No.
Not that we're, okay, very good. Item 13, any petitions recommended for denial by the Natural Resources? No. Standing Committee, none. All right, okay, very good. Then we'll move on to item 14, our section on reports, starting off with an update from the Southwest Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission.
Good evening. Maybe I'll stand over here. Whatever works. Speaking behind folks, my name is Troy Megan. I'm the Executive Director at the Southwest Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Thank you for time on your agenda. I wanted to get in front of you once a year and kind of share what we've been up to, remind you of who we are. I appreciate Clerk Kalish giving you our handouts, and there's a much longer and therefore hopefully more detailed summary in your packet, if you would, sir. Just a brief reminder, regional planning was founded in 1970. We serve in 5 counties here: Grand Green, Iowa, Lafayette, and Richland. Communities as big as Monroe at 11,000 and Yuba at 58 or so. Thanks. You'll see some detail on this. We're always trying to understand how we can return more investment to you than you make in us. As a county, you do contribute to us each year. In Richland County, it's about $1.07 per capita. A pretty conservative calculation of a direct return is about $1.77 for that dollar that you invest in us. We try to capture a lot of that in the written narrative. On the next slide here, you'll see just briefly our budget. We're just a small organization. There's about 10 of us, 12 of us down based in Platteville. We got about a $1.1 million budget. Our county funding, you'll see, is only about 13% of our overall operations, and we leverage that against a lot of state and federal funding and fee-for-service. You'll see the trend line on the next slide. Again, just a little bit of a financial snapshot. This slide shows the percentage of our overall budget that comes from 5 county contributions. And so it used to be, obviously, a little over 10 years ago, pretty heavy. We've dropped that pretty significantly now to about 14% last year of our funding coming from counties. So we're always looking, like I said, take your investment and leverage it. Just the last financial note I'll make about hopefully how we're making your investment have an impact. This is from our audited financial statements. You'll see since 2011, our county funding has gone from about $128,000 to $162,000. That's about a 27% increase. That's not a flat line, of course, it just looks that way. Meanwhile, our total assets, including our revolving loan fund, our small business development fund, has increased by about 193%. So again, another way we're looking to make sure we take your investments and bring more wealth and impact to the region. We do answer to you all, which I think is another unique role for us as a replanning commission and if you will, a consultant of sort. By our bylaws and by statute, the county board chair, Chair Turk, is always on our commission. We also have 2 other county appointees, Steve Carroll, and up until recently, with his soon-to-be departure, Mark Gill. And so we're looking, I think it's in the pipeline probably, but we're looking for another appointee from Richland County. We've had great appointees in the past. It's a big operational, a snapshot of our operational overview. A couple of highlights of projects that I wanted to share with you as well. There's 3 ways that I bucket our work, 3 categories of the way I look at our work. capacity building, planning, and economic development. And I'll highlight just a couple of those. We've recently engaged in a contract with the Small Business Development Center. Some of you, or many of you, maybe know Kate Koziel. She worked in the county some years back doing economic development. She's run our revolving loan fund. She manages the Platinum Business Incubator. She herself was an entrepreneur for 17 years in Chicago. SBDC had money and they didn't have workforce. So they reached out to us and said, is there some way you can help us? So we formed a contractual relationship with SBDC. Two major goals: how do we support local businesses, startup and expansion, and how do we enhance the Small Business Development Center with our staff capacity. SBDC has a lot of background resources. And so one of the themes you'll see here is that regional planning doesn't operate in a vacuum. We always do best with a partner, and we leverage our skills with others. And so the local partnership here, if you will, the local partnership in SBDC, they have a lot of business relationships. They help create the business pipeline. This is also folks like Jason Glassbone, right, who's working with businesses and knows they need some help and connect to us. What we do is, I should say, Kate in our office does the business development planning, cash flow, pro forma. She'll help with marketing, access to capital, and that sort of thing. So there's always kind of a unique role that we work best with in tandem with local partners. Again, Kate's the best. She started Scale and sold her own firm in Chicago over 17 years while raising 2 kids in a pretty competitive market. She's phenomenal. She's worked here. She's worked for us for a while. So hopefully you know her. She's outstanding. Another project, kind of a planning and community development project, which I think obviously some of you are already familiar with, not to steal Craig's thunder. We've got a project called SWISH. I came up with that acronym, Southwest Wisconsin Mutual Solution to Housing. So that's what you get with a degree from Ohio State University, is that level of creativity. A couple of goals of this project: put modular homes on infill lots. Use the infrastructure that's already there, right? Don't go building and expanding. The targeted sale prices at the onset were around $200 to $250, which means your household income are about $65,000 to $75,000. Craig, correct me or jump in. That's kind of what our numbers show would be an affordability level for these townhouses. These are manufacturer employees. Here's our target audience: nurses, teachers, law enforcement, these kind of folks. Again, the partnership we have is Southwest Community Action Program became a dealer for Skyline Homes. The home that a private firm could get on site for 170, Southwest Cap can get to site for about 107, because they're a nonprofit and because they get dealer prices. We're not competing with those other homeowners. We're just not serving the for-profit market. There's folks who can't afford the homes. So Southwest Cap became a dealer. They have some land. They're contributing to the project. And Southwest Cap is using some of their upfront financing to start this. What do we do? I was in construction for a while, so I can work with the public works guys in communities when needed. We can look at constructability and buildable issues. We work as a community liaison in really small communities, right? So don't imagine Richland Center, imagine a Lone Rock, imagine Cuba City, right? Some of these smaller communities where they don't have a boots on the ground person. Alyssa Schaefer in our office has been in Avoca. She's been in Monticello, trying to understand, okay, what are the permitting fees, what sites do you have, what lots do you have? And so regional planning hopefully is serving as kind of a tip of the spear for a lot of these communities before the housing comes in. The other thing we'll do, is a return on impact, or return on investment, right? So we want to know who lives there, what kind of long-term property taxes and so on are being contributed. So we have a pilot project on our end, and I'll say 2 things. Southwest Cap is also just selling homes. They can just simply sell and rent homes as they are. It's when you have a strong partner on the ground. Where there's not a strong partner on the ground, but there is land and resources, that's where this model will come in and be a little different. So we're kind of piloting a site in Lancaster. Lancaster High School's over here. Cap owns about 2.6 acres. And so this is a site where we're looking to pilot the development and build piece, where there's not a local partner as you have here with neighborhood housing. So we'll get that coming out of the ground hopefully here, this year. Excuse me, probably next year by the time we do the site layout. So one thing that from the beginning we wanted to make sure of is that these homes fit in the local neighborhood. We had to fight against a lot of stigma about trailer homes, manufactured homes. Skyline Homes has a phenomenal program, and this is one of the models that we look at. You can see there's nothing on here that looks like a so-called manufactured home. We actually had to go into a couple of communities who really like this program and tell them that the zoning ordinances prohibit them from doing this. Because they're still pejorative and looking at either manufactured or trailer homes as opposed to modular homes. So this is the skyline model. The next slide shows some interior photos. Again, these are really high quality little places that we're putting in. What's the model, Craig, you're looking at? You know, it's the Genesis? The skyline?
It's the Genesis, yeah.
The Genesis, yeah. So I don't have one up here. Genesis is another cool model. It's kind of a shotgun model. Where you walk in from the end, it's got a big deck. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a slick one. Yep. So beautiful units. Thank you, sir. And the last thing, just to touch on, and you got a full agenda. Another role that we play is we have, as I mentioned earlier, a revolving loan fund. It was capitalized by the federal government, and it's in place to help small businesses grow and expand. Again, startup gap financing to businesses. One of the things that we do, we don't find, in this role, we don't find the businesses. We regionalize the overhead burden of loan administration, right? So a JC Glassbrenner or someone local will have a business, they'll send it to us. They are the pipeline, right? They're the boots on the ground folks. We don't want every single county, city, and village economic development director to be administering loans. That's what we call overhead, and it's burdensome. It's not sexy, but we do that work. We do the overhead and the administration, so we can do that much more efficient. And again, augmenting local funds. We have about $1.8 million. Actually, as of this morning, I just looked, $1.91 million in our RLF, what we call our capital base. And so again, here's the partnership. The boots on the ground guys, chambers and economic development folks will send us the businesses who need this. They create what we call the pipeline for businesses. They have the relationships. Just as I don't think every economic developer should be administering a loan, it doesn't make sense for me to go out there and try to form relationships with businesses when people have them, right? So this is the partnership where we can help do this work, frankly, a lot more efficient. So we do the administration. We help capitalize this $1.9 million. Kate Cozio helped raise almost $200,000 locally from banks. Richland County, we currently have 2 active loans for about $362,000. A couple of notes, we're not a primary lender. We're not a bank. If a bank will lend to you, we won't. But we do lend to you, and we can lend more competitively if a business has private funding on the table. And so we have $362,000 in the game, which has leveraged $1.1 million of either private equity or private bank financing, right? We do the part of the project that the bank doesn't necessarily want to do. It could be working capital, right? It could be some other aspect. Sometimes if it's just a little risky for a bank, but it's not actually needed that risky, we can pick that stuff up. 28 jobs created or saved. So we do the administration, and we have a third-party board who makes the awards. We don't make the awards. Sitting on that board are 2 folks, Mick Cosgrove, who hopefully you probably all know. He's obviously a professional or a financial advisor. And then Tammy Alt, I think it's Community First Bank. She's the bank branch manager. So again, Richland County reps and financial professionals help make those loan decisions. So that's kind of a big picture of where we've been up to and where we are. Again, just to kind of recap what we're always thinking about doing, if you would, sir. Is getting back to this. We really appreciate your investment in us. I know the budgets are tight. I know that very well for every county. So we keep looking for ways to make sure you guys know that we're here serving and working for you. Yep, seen that before. I always like to end where I started. I'm happy to speak to any of this stuff or anything you saw in the report. If there's any questions or thoughts.
For a word or two about the computer program, the housing data you have?
Oh yeah, right on. So we did a series of housing studies, updated them last year. And in doing so, Alyssa Schaefer in my office just got running. I didn't know she was doing it, but she built an interactive online map where you can click on any community. So the map currently has here in Center, Gaz, Lone Rock, and I think Boaz. You can click on it, and you can get per capita median income, you can get median household income, you can get housing cost size, you can get all of this demographic and housing related data that you can pivot immediately into doing return on investments or looking when you get a funding stream or a grant or that kind of thing. It's a really slick interactive mapping tool that she's created. They have this sent around. That's the one you're referring to? Yeah. So our local economic developers have their fingers in that. If it's in or skewed, I can connect with it. But yeah, it's a nice tool. That's that capacity building piece. We do a lot of that mapping and stuff in the background such that when you have a local economic development that leaves and someone comes in, they don't have to start from scratch, right? How can regional planning cut that learning curve with some of our tools and our maps and our data so that they don't have to go and find that stuff? That's the intent behind that.
Other questions? Mr. Sievers?
What started the modular home mindset or between building new infrastructure and modular, which is pre-built, put in?
Yeah, well, it's certainly not a new concept. I think Brett White, the director of Southwest Cap, was the one who was just scratching around for ideas. He had a funding stream he could repurpose. From a construction standpoint, it's kind of a no-brainer. The housing itself is pretty cheap. If you've never been to one of these plants, they're phenomenal. They crank out 3 full homes a day.
It's like Prairie Sheet.
I believe it is. Yep, I believe it is
It's
similar.
it's similar, but Prairie du Chien is more what we call, it's called manufactured.
Yeah.
This is modular. And so, it's there's a little bit of a difference in definition by how it's constructed and what
Yeah.
pieces come together, but similar. But if I may.
Yeah.
What Troy is talking about here is a fabulous program. We're lucky here in the community. About a year ago, an NHS employee, Paul Wurtsema, took it upon himself to make that connection with Brett and get this thing rolling. So actually, we'll be having a groundbreaking in 2 weeks for one of these modular homes on East Kinder Street. And so you're going to be seeing information about that. But we're working with the state program. And what we'll do is we'll do one, and then we'll roll that into the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so we've got putting together a 5-year plan to roll these out lot by lot. As Troy talked about, infrastructure is there, so we can just go to town and do them as fast as our capacity allows.
We talk about, if I may just to build on that, we talk about return on investment a lot. If you're in manufacturing or production, you'll think a lot about return on invested capital. Right? You've got this capital asset there, whether it's a piece of equipment or whatever, you need to get the most amount of return from that capital investment that you maybe need to pay off in 20 years. Cities and villages don't really do that too well. We sprawl and we cut out the farmland and we put in the new infrastructure, and I'll have this conversation with cities and villages sometimes who have 50% spare capacity in the water treatment plant. What are you doing with this wasted asset? You have 50% of this asset that's sitting there empty. That you could be using. How do you fill that thing up and put it to use? Because you already paid for it, and frankly, all the taxpayers and utility payers are paying for it. So it's a return on invested capital. The infrastructure is running down that road. Find that infill, and even if you have to buy an infill lot for 20 grand, that's a heck of a lot cheaper than a new lateral out in the cornfield. You know what I mean? So how do we think about that, like a production manufacturer, where to some degree? Sorry if I cut you off early.
No. So there are some homes that are built still framed, and then they have wheels underneath them, and you're able to move those homes and put them on different parcels. This modular home, they're able to be put on a foundation such as concrete, correct? And
yeah, that was something that we've been a stickler on from day one. There's a HUD home, which have their role in their place, and it sits on steel columns. From day one, and the reason that, with Southwest Cap being a dealer and a nonprofit, they shave off that $70,000 a fee. That'll buy it, basically. The other thing we're looking at in Lancaster, just because I have a building background, is how do we enable sweat equity for the owner? And so in the Lancaster model, we want window wells in the basement where you can step out of. We don't want the little well at the top. Why? Because that's never going to be a basement, and you'll never retail it for a basement. So if we put the window well where you can walk out, somebody who can swing a hammer can go and build that into a bedroom for their family to expand. We're doing SIPs, structurally insulated panels, with furring strips, right? So you can put the drywall up and finish the basement and build equity and build finished spaces. All those little nuances that we can do, and you're absolutely right. The goal is not to give someone a finished house. Some of our models, we're not even talking about a garage. How do you cut the costs up front, enable sweat equity? You put equity into it, you refinance it, you build that garage or whatever, right? It's not to give them the thing that's finished. It's to get them to jump into it.
a shell of a garage is going to cost you less than what it would be for a house.
Yeah, so these are all, our side, I don't think probably you too, these are all concrete poured basements.
Yeah, this will have a full basement, full concrete poured basement and garage as well. This one will have a garage.
Yeah, and that's one of those terminology things, manufactured and modular, and
Yeah.
people get spooked about, is it sitting on stilts with a trailer skirt? No, That's not what this is about.
Mr. Carroll.
I just want to say, I attended a tour of some of these modular homes in Hillsborough that Habitat was involved with. And he said it's a concrete foundation, basement. If you didn't see the big crane there lifting the modules, you would think it was stick built.
Imagine there's a cost factor and a time factor going to the modular. You can get it together a lot faster.
Yeah, and what'll be interesting is, as nice as the infill lots are, that Lancaster site could actually have 8 slots. So you're not doing a whole big development, but it's about $6,000 to $7,000 a day to mobilize a crane. If you can mobilize a concrete guy across 3 days and pour 5 foundations and build 7 homes, not mobilizing a crane for 7 days, it's $7,000. Maybe you have 2 days, one set up, one knockdown, right? So how do we find that right blend of infill lots, because it's there, but also, again, I'm a stickler for overhead, cutting out the mobilization and demobilization fees for cranes. And so if you got a place that's got 3 to 4 acres, and you can put a quarter to a third acre site like this, right? I think you can still cut off some of those overhead costs. So.
Are those modular homes, are they finished, semi-finished on the inside, or are they just, because they're obviously stick-built, like, we talk about a stick being built.
They're just stick-built under a roof, right?
They are, but are they prefabbed?
They're completely
They're hauled on
finished.
a semi-truck and then set together into 2 pieces or 3 or whatever it is, takes to put together. But is the inside finished, like with the walls and the cabinets and the
It's all finished.
carpeting, the floors are there?
Yep. You got to come in and a general or carpenter will, do the drywall tape and button up the seam, but the finishes are really, really nice. Yeah, in fact, for CAP, we're trying to pick out 1 or 2 stock models. And so one of our staff went through all the finishes, which is a job I would hate, but they loved it. And they're really nice finishes.
Yeah, cabinets, plumbing, electrical, trim, it's all there. Yep.
Anybody else with questions? Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Item B under reports, county administrator update.
So I think the most exciting information, the news that we have is we have hired a finance director, Leanna Peck, and she is sitting in the corner. She started last week on August 11th. She has come from the corporate world and is really excited to work in the public sector. So far things have been going very well. She's been really jumping in and looking at policies and learning the Tyler system and looking at our budget. So we're very excited to have her here. Speaking of the budget, we will be presenting our draft budget next week to executive and finance. In the payroll world, we have merged the payrolls of the Sheriff's Department, Simon's Courthouse, and HHS all into one payroll. We now just have 3 payrolls to run and are working to get that down to 2. As you may or may not recall, we were up to 9 payrolls that they were running at one point in time. So the more we can merge these payrolls and get them down to less payrolls, the less follow-up time that is needed for each of the payrolls. We're continuing to work on doing time and attendance in our Tyler system. All departments except the Sheriff's Department and Pine Valley will be using Tyler to clock in and out. So we're excited for that to come. We will probably officially be online for that in October. The changeover date for the tower project is projected to be the week of December 15th. They have been working on installing the servers and equipment into the radio rack at the courthouse. Radio racks are being delivered to most of the sites. Dishes are being placed in the shelters when there is room in them. Fiber work is being done at Boaz, Westport, and Richland Center. Antenna work will start soon or has started. And then the civil work has begun for the Yuba site. That is the one last site that needs to be built. There will be a change order coming from that site just based on the way that it is being presented. So you will see that probably next month. The Wisconsin Counties Association annual conference is September 21st through the 23rd at the Kalahari Resort. Please let me know if you would like to attend. We can get you signed up, and if you want to attend, let me know that. I just need to know by noon tomorrow. And then the last thing is I do want to just say thank you to many of the staff out at Ambulance and the on-call people who have worked for Ambulance. There have been some staff members and on-call members who have taken a lot of extra hours to make sure our service continues to run, and their dedication much appreciated. It's been a busy couple of months for them for being short-staffed, but I think things are heading in the right direction. We do appreciate all the time that they have given to the students. That's what I have.
Any questions for the administrator?
There was a question on whether there was enough support staff. Do you feel, as in the position that you're in, have enough support staff?
Yes and no. I think it's extremely helpful that we have brought on a finance director. I think that will help immensely. We have some thoughts built into the budget for next year to continue to build those supports in place. And Dave and I did talk about some ideas. We haven't been able to get anyone to agree to be the deputy administrator, but Dave and I did talk about some ideas before we met here that we will be bringing forward next month. So, yes and no.
Any other questions for our administrator? We'll move on to item number 15, a resolution approving the EDRC with a 2026 service or section 5310 operating grant.
This will be resolution number 25-60. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Aging and Disability Resource Center of the Department of Health and Human Services to apply for and accept a 2026 section 5310 operating grant from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation in the amount of $33,590.93. Be it further resolved, the grant requires a 50% minimum county match, which can be either cash and or in-kind funding, which shall be accomplished by section 85.21, the non-federal transportation funds, program revenues, indirect costs supported by Health and Human Services, fund number 560. Be it further resolved that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant, and the Director of Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Stephanie Ronfeld, is authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents necessary to carry out the resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This being offered to you by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on August 7th of 2025.
Okay, motion by Glassbrenner, second by Manning to approve this resolution. Any discussion? This is an annual program.
This is one that's done every year, and this does provide the transportation services for those without transportation. So it is a great benefit to the community.
We have questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 16, resolution accepting donations to the Simons Recreation Complex.
This will be resolution number 25-61. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors, the following donations from the Simons Recreation Complex Foundation to the Simons Recreation Complex are hereby accepted. You have your list of 3 items there before you in the resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12th of 2025.
It's a resolution. We have a motion. Motion by Cooey, second by Perry to approve. And discussion on this, Mike?
I guess just to kind of summarize, this is the Simons Foundation has pledged $50,000 last year, which they met, pledged another $50,000 in donations this year, which they've now met and surpassed with this donation. They're not going to end here. In the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing some information about a campaign that we're working on. We've got a matching donor that's going to kick off a very large campaign that's going to kind of sustain this continued donations from the foundation. So that'll be announced in the next couple of weeks in local media. So listen for that. But again, without the foundation, we've been able to replace a lot of things that have Simons. So that's really helped us to keep the momentum going, I guess.
Any questions on this? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution's adopted. Thank you. Item 17, a resolution approving Richland County increasing the fee for minor subdivision review of certified survey maps.
Resolution number 25-62. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval to change the fee schedule for minor subdivision review / certified survey map to $300 plus $20 per lot. Be further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon passage and publication. This is offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12th, 2025.
Motion by Manning, second by Schoonover. And discussion. We heard about this in Executive and Finance. Mr. Carroll, go
I
ahead.
can just repeat, in the past, the state did that, and they're no longer doing it, so that's shifting back on us to take care of it. So the explanation is pretty well spelled out in the resolution, but bottom line is we have to pick up that cost, so the county survey will be doing that instead of the state, so we have to cover that cost.
Any questions? Mr. Severson?
That's another added cost on the other stuff that we have to pay for now?
Yeah,
Oh. Does that get billed to the end user?
it does, yes.
Other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 18, resolution approving addition of one full-time EMT position.
This will be resolution number 25-63. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors approves the addition of one full-time EMT position. Be further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon passage and publication. Once again offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12, 2025.
Looking for a motion on this? Motion by McKee, second by Gill. Any discussion?
Yeah, so what we're looking to do is add one full-time staff member. How it's currently structured is they have 5 full-time staff members with that 6th position, so they have 3 shifts, and they have that 6th position filled by whomever is available. So what they have found is there have been increased overtime costs because it's usually somebody picking up that extra shift. The other thing with this is the director was filling that role, and so that was taking the director away from the ability to do long-range planning, budgeting, program compliance, really making sure that we have a sustainable program. So when Ms. Scott came in, she took a look at everything and really felt to ensure the long-term stability of the service, we need to be adding that 6th member. And her thoughts when she plotted everything out and did the budget for next year is that this will significantly cut down on the overtime costs.
Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution's adopted. Brings us to item 19, a resolution approving the creation and filling of the ambulance service director position and job description.
This will be resolution number 25-64. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors approves the creation and filling of the ambulance service director position and the associated job description. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon passage and publication. Is once again offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12, 2025.
The resolution, they have a motion. Motion by Kramer, second by Miller. And discussion.
So since 2014, our emergency management and our ambulance director have been one person. With the departure of our last emergency services director, we really took a look at the structure that we have in place, and I do feel it's best that we have these 2 positions be separated. As we talked about a little bit before, the emergency services, the ambulance director really needs to focus on the budget, long-range planning, program compliance, and emergency management can be separated. So we wouldn't necessarily be adding a position to the county structure. We're just taking the 2 duties and completely separating.
Mr. Severson.
Page 2 on the director position description, under minimum training experience required to perform essential job functions, it says an EMT or paramedic with 3 years relevant experience or any other combination of education and experience provides build knowledge, skills, and abilities for this position. Should that be NR, EMT, National Registry Emergency Medical Technician?
Could very well
Or
be.
paramedic? And then 2 questions, I guess, with this, because then the next period says current AEMT license. So if you have an NREMT or paramedic, you would qualify for the AEMT except for the NREMT spot. So I guess what are we looking for here? What license level do we want our service provider to be? Do we want them to be nationally registered? Because in the state of Wisconsin, You can go through your class, such as Southwest Tech, to go through your EMT, you can pass that. In order to get your state license, Wisconsin says you need to have your national registry license. So you need to take your national registry exam to get that. Once you get that and you have that, then a licensed provider could let his national license lapse and still provide care and go through his refreshers every year and keep his license current through Wisconsin. It's just that he's not nationally registered. Nationally registered lets you work in every 50 states. But are we wanting somebody to be nationally registered? Because do we have employees right now that are not nationally registered? Would that exempt them from being able to apply? Would other people? I'm just asking questions. And then also for paramedic, then you say AEMT that you have to have that.
So I think it's the national registry or the paramedic. I honestly pulled this from the previous job description that was previously approved, so I apologize for the delay on that. So we were the error on that, so we will update to the NRMT. So that's what we want is a national registry or a paramedic.
So somebody has to be currently nationally registered as, because every 2 years you have to go and take credits to keep your national registry license current. And it's every 3 years to keep your state license current. So are we going to hold that director to that position of nationally registered paramedic, EMT, AEMT, whatever? Are we going to hold that to them after they've been hired throughout their career here?
But it also says, or any combination of education or experience. So I think
That's where I was asking for some clarity here.
I think that's where the pie in the sky is the national registry or the paramedic or the relevant experience, combination of relevant experience.
Just asking them, the executive finance help with that, so.
Any other questions? Elaine?
Have you ever had a paramedic in that role before?
I know Mike was a paramedic.
So is, but prior to that,
I don't know what Darren's qualifications were.
Darren was a EMT basic, and then he went to the class and became a AEMT, and that's where he was when he resigned to take on a different role. Was that AEMT?
But not a national.
Couldn't tell you that. I would speculate that he wasn't.
Yeah.
But he also is an instructor for Southwest Tech, so maybe they do require them to keep their national registry current. So.
Other questions?
I guess the only question, does this cover us? Okay, so all of these acronyms don't mean anything to me. I don't know if it does. I mean, unless you're in that world, I don't know how it would. Does it cover what we need to run the search?
Yes.
That's what I need.
Yes.
Type of thing, Mr. Chair.
That's all I care.
In DHS 110, it does specify a service director, what those qualifications are, and it does not say that they have to be licensed medical or emergency provider. They just have to meet these certain qualifications to be that service director, and that's what we just added to those duties, what we would like to see in a service director. Correct? Madam Administrator? No?
That's correct.
Other questions? All in favor of approving, creating the position, the job description, and filling it, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 20, resolution approving changes to the reimbursement section of the Handbook of Personnel Policies and Work Rules of Richland County.
This will be resolution number 25-65. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors approves the proposed changes to the reimbursement section of the Handbook of Personnel Policies and Work Rules of Richland County. Being further resolved that this resolution shall be effective January 1 of 2026. This is once again offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12 of 2025.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Frank, second by Mr. McKee.
So I have the proposed changes in your packet. The highlights are that we're looking to provide some leeway with the state rate for lodging. We are finding more and more that it is hard to find places that will allow the state rate. The second thing is we're trying to update the meal reimbursement. It was $25 per meal. Now we're trying to update it and have it, or excuse me, $25 total. We're trying to have it updated to mirror what the state rate is. We're looking to change the reimbursement rate per mileage to the IRS rate. Currently it is 70 cents per mile, but that does get updated every year. And then we are also looking to have the expense vouchers be processed through our accounts payable instead of through payroll, and having everybody across the county use the same expense report.
Questions from the board? Supervisor Glassberg.
May I ask why, so under the registration fees, you added in where it says meals and or lodging? So is that to say, if it covers meals but not lodging, you're not going to reimburse for lodging?
No, we would still reimburse for lodging.
But it says no other reimbursement shall be allowed. Am I reading that wrong?
Which section are you in?
Registration fees, right above the expense vouchers at the end.
And that's not what we meant. And I think what somebody really wanted to make sure was that they weren't missing out on the meal reimbursement.
The and/or is in here.
It's not wrong, it just can be written better.
So what
The
are
intent
we
is meals
trying to
included,
say?
we reimburse the meal. Lodging's included, we would reimburse lodging because it's all included in the conference fee. Is that our intent?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So anything
it's not
covered by the
saying-
registration fee is not
Right.
then also reimbursed.
That makes more sense. Okay.
We can change
Got
that
it
to
now.
that.
Thank you.
Somebody put that down there.
Mr. McKee.
So them meal reimbursements are staying?
We are looking to up them. Instead of having a $25 per day, it would be up to $10 for breakfast, up to $12 for lunch, and up to $23 for dinner. And they would have to submit a
Lots
receipt.
of luck getting a breakfast for $10 in this economy.
And we do understand that, and I did share this with department heads, and that was a pretty common response that they shared, that even with these rates, that would be difficult to find. But I was trying to mirror what the state has currently.
It's better than $25 a day.
Oh, it's far better than $25.
It is improvement from the current system. So.
Yes. Not perfect.
Other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution's adopted. Brings us to 21. Approve a resolution adopting the Richland County mission statement.
This will be resolution number 25-66. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors approves the mission statement as noted above. It is in your resolution. Being further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. This is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12th of 2025.
Looking for a motion on this. Motion by Kramer, second by Gill. And discussion.
So this started with the Lou Everett training that we have been working on. There's been 3 sessions thus far, but the first one really focused on creating your mission and your vision. And so at the end, there were 2 options that the group came up with. The department heads reviewed both the options, felt that this was the best option that was out there, but then went to executive and finance who felt that same way. So we are looking to have this be adopted as a mission statement.
For the benefit of folks listening, Richland County is dedicated to fostering a thriving, inclusive community through transparent, accountable, and fiscally responsible services. We aim to promote growth, well-being, and prosperity while respecting our rural roots and empowering all residents to succeed. The short version. The longer version had a lot more words. Any questions or comments on the proposed mission statement for Richland County?
Where will this be published? I mean, is it going to be on?
We'll put it on our website for sure. And I was actually just thinking before you asked that question, and we'll really have to make sure we roll this up to the community.
It should come up by default on our iPads when we log in, just to remind us.
Bad idea.
That's the pastor.
That's the
Other questions? All those in favor of adopting the mission statement, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 22, resolution designating the future planning of county facilities duties to the Public Works Standing Committee.
City Resolution number 25-67. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors designates the Public Works Standing Committee to perform the oversight duties of future planning of county facilities, and be further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. This being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on August 12 of 2025.
For a motion for this. Motion by Mr. Manning, second by Supervisor Glassbrook. And discussion.
So, part of the campus reconfiguration committee, we have been really looking at proposals for the future. What do we need to do as a county to maintain our facilities, to upgrade our facilities? And it's come to the point in time where we really need to start making decisions, and felt it was best to break away from the campus reconfiguration committee. The original proposal was to create an ad hoc, but Executive and Finance felt that the best option would be to have Public Works take the lead on this. It is really about talking about what do we need to do, when are we going to do it, and then talking about how do we fund this. So the proposal on the table is for Public Works to take the lead on this process.
Questions or comments? Mr. Carroll.
When we look at the committee role descriptions, we'll need to reword that, get that updated. Who's going to do that?
That's something we can work on.
Make it clear that that's part of their responsibility. Mr. McKee.
Is this going to be an extra burden on Public Works?
More work, yeah.
I mean,
And our discussion at Executive and Finance, and Steve, feel free to jump in here as the chair.
Sure.
Was around, okay, well, who has the most expertise in this? Where does it fit best with existing responsibilities of committees versus creating another committee that we've got to appoint people to and have meetings for and stuff like that? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, and Mark's the chair of the committee. We almost decided to skip a couple months if need be. We've had some very short agendas lately, so it's Steve suggested it. We really hadn't thought about it that much, but I think it fits the best to fall underneath Public Works. We'll have to get them caught up on where we're at. Eventually we'll keep everybody informed as we try and go forward. Somebody's going to have to do it, yes.
And it really is.
the time staff.
Go ahead.
Well, again, like Steve was saying, since we switched to administrator form of government, and we've given Randy more roles in terms of maintenance, the committees actually have like workload lately. So I think, yeah, they're going to step up.
And it's really about the committee who's going to make these decisions. So it's not necessarily that Randy and Josh are going to have extra work on their plates. I mean, they are because they're going to have longer meetings, but it really is about that committee having those discussions about what are our county's priorities, what are we going to do, how are we going to handle that, what's the time frame that we're going to do it, and then it's going to be looking at how are we going to fund these things. Now, when it gets to that point, I don't know if it'll go back to Executive and Finance because it is that monetary piece of it. But yes, this committee is going to take a lot of time to really determine priorities because it's courthouse safety and security. It is looking at the jail and when do we build a new jail. It's about a justice center. It's about the remodel of the buildings that need to happen. It really is going to be a lot of time that this committee is going to have to put forth in making these decisions.
About engaging with the public and talking to the public too as we contemplate, you know, a very major borrowing event for a building project.
And not that Randy and Josh aren't going to be doing anything because they're going to have to be gathering some information, but it really is more about that decision-making piece.
Mr. Carroll.
One more thing. the campus committee is ad hoc, and then at some point, in theory, the campus will get resolved, that committee goes away. This function of long-term planning never goes away. There's always going to be a need to keep a handle on how well the infrastructure we have is going and what we need to do looking ahead. And so that function's got to happen somewhere. This is the place.
Seems to make sense having it with a standing committee.
Yeah.
I had the same concerns as Richard did for Josh, you know, and he may be looking for some help. I mean, and initially, we got to get him caught up as where we're at on it, the group that's been working on it, but it's time to hand it off. And I agree with Steve that we, eventually, the campus committee will be, you know, we hope,
Yes.
finished.
The administrator will be involved, and other county staff will be involved too, of course. Other questions? Basically, we just wanted to make Mark do it. So.
I'm fine with that. I will say our meetings were getting to the point where it was a report and it could have been an email. I mean, really. I mean, you have budget time, but the rest of it was, since we've changed, you know, we used to go through, years ago when I was on that committee, we approved every hiring, every bill, every, you know, and it was a pretty lengthy meeting just because of that, right? But now, I mean, other than body builds on trucks, and it's pretty limited to what, it's a good fit for it. I don't know that I want a bunch of building questions, but it's a good place for it.
For sure. Thank you. Supervisor Glassbrook.
If I could just add to what he's saying, with, as several people have mentioned, we moved to the administrator role. That's caused this really kind of like shifting of what do we do as a board? How do we, you know, how do we best serve the county in a different, slightly different and evolving role? And I think, you know, one of the things that I remember, I think it was John and several people talked about was really being the role of like vision and moving forward. And I think that this fits very much that idea. And so therefore it's great for that board, for that committee to do that. And I hope that, because other committees I think are facing similar things where we need to start thinking about how do we shift that responsibility. And so this is a great example of that.
Other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. All right, item 23, correspondence.
There is a correspondence that's in your packet for an individual who had expressed interest in an at-large county board supervisor position. No action is needed. It's just correspondence. It's reported for me to share with you all, so it is in your packet for review.
For the record, there is no such thing as
That is not
large.
legal to you.
So, but you have it for your information. Future agenda items, item number 24. And then one thing we'll be looking at is filling some more county board vacancies, and I believe Supervisor Glassbrenner wanted to address this briefly.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a statement because this is hard. I asked to be able to tell you guys in person that I'm going to be submitting my resignation as county board supervisor tomorrow, effective immediately. This has been a difficult decision for me. I've been on the board now for 5 years and I've really appreciated being on this board. But our family will be moving out of the county, and with recent changes to my work hours and other responsibilities, I just am not able to give the supervisor role the attention and time that it deserves. Like I said, I joined this board in 2020, and this experience has been really invaluable for me. I treasure the relationships that I've gotten to build and the knowledge that I've gained since joining. It's truly been an honor to serve. I want to thank the citizens of Richland County for allowing me and trusting me to represent you. My fellow board members, I'm really grateful for your patience, your encouragement, your support. Through my time of learning when I joined, I really knew nothing about county government. And I'm going to miss working alongside with you guys. And to the employees of Richland County, I just want to thank you for your tireless dedication, your hard work, your sacrifice. Time and again, I've really been humbled by your commitment to keeping our county strong. You guys are the backbone of our community, and this has been a really wonderful opportunity to get to see that firsthand. I moved here when I was 9, and since then, I've always thought that Richland County is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And we have a really wonderful community here, as evidenced by all the people that I've met. And I've been able to witness on my time on the board that even through difficulties, we have positive changes and growth that's happening that's far outweighing the challenges that our county faces. And so because of that, I believe that our community, our county, has a really bright future, and I look forward to seeing what's ahead for Richland County. So thank you guys again. I'm going to miss all of you.
Thank you for your service. We will miss you as well. Any other notes under future agenda items for our next meeting? All right, hearing none. Mr. Manning makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second from Mr. Gill? All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.